I think, I mean, that one of the most wonderful things is being educated, getting education.
The Senase project started out with a man named Facebook Fred, as we've come to know him, and it was just us taking a leap of faith. We started by looking into going to Ghana, but we wanted to see a real side of Ghana, not just the cities, what the general population sees.
Luckily, I met a guy on Facebook named Fred. He had all these tours planned, and I explained to him, I said, this is what I want to see Ghana. I don't want to be in Ghana. I want to feel Ghana. I don't want to just brush the surface. He put up pictures of his homeschool, and I pointed to them, and I said, that's where I want to go.
A guy, Chris Toon, who was on Semester at Sea, put out an ad saying, anyone want to see the real side of Ghana? And I figured that sounded good, and so I started talking to him, not realizing what a huge impact this would have. And we decided once we were on the voyage, it was either going to be the most amazing experience of our lives, or we were going to die. There was like no in between on this project.
And all that we really knew was that we were going to a small village in Ghana, and we were going to be interacting with the children in a school that didn't really have the opportunities that other schools in the area had, and that was really all that we had been told.
So we went out 7 hours into this village called Senase, and while we were staying there, went to some schools. We saw the real village life. We were so welcomed in by the people, and it was an amazing experience. It's one you can't come back from and be the same person. And while we were there, we went to a neighboring village, Akatim. The children are walking miles a day to get to school in the middle of nowhere, and we saw these children that you can't forget. They had lost hope to such an extent that I'd never seen before.
The children didn't have anything to smile about. There was an extremely somber atmosphere. Just the feelings of hopelessness prevailed.
And after that, we all came back and got together and said, we need to do something about this. We can't be those people that just come back and forget about these children. We can't let them think that they're forgotten. And so this started the Senase project and made it into a program that is changing children's lives through giving them education and really giving them hope for the future.
All at once, the world can overwhelm me. There's almost nothing that you could tell me that could ease my mind.
When we first pulled up in the back of a planer truck in the middle of torrential downpour, we walked into this school. There were no doors, there were no walls, the ceiling was leaking, and the atmosphere of the school was completely hopeless.
When we first arrived at the Akatim Village School, we were all kind of shocked. Personally, I kind of didn't believe Fred when he said this was the school. Not what you'd expect to see, not what you'd ever see in America. There's just absolutely nothing. The chalkboard's made of plywood. It was falling off the wall.
The conditions of the school were very, very rough. All the sides were open. The roof was leaking. The kids had to stop school just because it was leaking, and the sound of the rain on the roof was just so loud.
There were like 4 semi-classrooms that were just like roofs, like metal roofs with poles coming down and maybe a few planks on the side. But there was rain coming in from the side. The desks were incredibly makeshift. Some of the kids could not fit in the desks because they were too big. They don't have any of the supplies that they need. Getting things like pens and pencils is a huge deal for them.
They don't have books, they don't have notebooks, they don't have pens, pencils, they don't have chalk for the teachers to use. It's really hard for them to even learn in that kind of environment, not having any of those supplies.
They don't have electricity, they don't have running water, they don't even have walls, they don't have floors. They're not receiving the the physical environment that they need.
The conditions of the school were so poor that we wondered whether it was possible in Ghana to have a school that could provide for its students.
And the worst part was 15 minutes away down the road, these kids had school buses, they had books, they had uniforms, they had everything they needed, and they were loving their lives. They had an enclosed building without electricity, but they had shutters that could close if it was windy or raining. And the morale there was just a complete 180 turnaround. It was great to see that all of Ghana wasn't like that, but it was also heartbreaking at the same time because of the close proximity.
I mean, we were getting trampled by kids just wanting to touch our hands. And they were smiling and happy and vibrant and just, they were full of life. And just to take a little bit of that life and bring it into Akatim would be, it would mean the world to them.
We would walk into these schools and wave to these kids, they would wave back, we would say hi, they'd say hi back. What class are you guys? You know, everyone would be clapping and joking around. They loved the camera. Like, anything you did, these kids would buy into, and they loved being at that school. And so that difference was just, it resonated with all of us, and we want to bring the morale of that second school back to the Akatim Village School.
The mission of the Senase project is to eradicate poverty through community development. The Akatim Village School is just one of the projects we are currently undertaking, and in this case, we are primarily focusing on education.
The Senase project hopes to achieve a wide variety of things. First, like I've said, instilling hope. You can't get anywhere without hope. That's what I've grown up knowing. Hope is something that is always around, and it kills me to this day that I didn't even see it at that school.
Luckily for us, Fred, the man who brought us to the school, was a graduate and shows that there is hope and that you can make it out of those circumstances and not so much forget about them, but give hope to others that are in those circumstances.
We, the Senase project, plan to go back to the village of Akatim and build a new school that is conducive to a learning environment. Immediately, we want to provide them with supplies, with textbooks, with things that we can give them now in order to start up this process that we have of giving them an education and providing them with the future. If the students don't pass the exam needed to go on to secondary school, they're stuck in the farming villages working manual labor every day, and as of now they're not receiving that education that they need to even have a fighting chance. So our plan is to let these children know that they're worth fighting for, and to let these children know that someone cares about them, and we're going to go in and provide them with opportunities and the education that they deserve.
We're showing these children that we didn't forget, that we know you're here, and by sending small things like uniforms and supplies between now and then, we'll remind them of how much we care and what a priority this is for us.
We saw a problem, and we saw a struggle, and we saw an issue, and we're stepping up to do what it takes to make a difference. We're not waiting on somebody else to change things, we're doing it ourselves.
The Senase project is stepping up to the plate, and we're taking responsibility and making a voice for these children who have no voice. We can make a difference here, and there have been so many volunteers who have come with us and said, you know what, we want to do this too. And we're so thankful to everyone that's decided to step in, and always looking for more people. With one person, 7 people, 20 people, you can make a difference and you can change the life of a child.
We can make a difference. And for goodness sake, go on going on. Go on believing that you are making a difference, because you are. And I take off my hat to all of you. Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.